Man, the LA Kings and their prospects are absolutely thriving right now. The Ontario Reign and the AHL, they've been giving us a ton to talk about. And this video is going to go over one guy who I've been super high on the previous two and a half pretty much kind of years, I guess. And just going over a little status update. So, we're opening this up by talking about the LA Kings farm team, the Ontario Reign, because the previous 3 games of Reign hockey has seen a whole bunch of greatness from a lot of these guys. On May 5th against the San Diego Gulls, the Reign won 6-4, and the Ontario Reign had a hat-trick from Mikey A. Simon. On Friday, May 7th, the Reign played the Gulls again, and they won 7-4. This time, it's Adam Johnson's turn to get himself a hat-trick. And then yesterday, against the Colorado Eagles in a 7-5 loss, the Ontario Reign still got themselves a hat-trick, this time from Alex Turcotte. Coming out here with a great dueling hat-trick kind of matchup because on the other side we had Mike Vecchione who got himself a hat-trick as well for Colorado. So nice to see the battles going on there in the AHL, but I wanted to talk mostly about Alex Turcotte here today, because Alex Turcotte's a guy who's had a pretty unfortunate run with injuries the past few seasons, and this season is no exception. He's a guy who, ever since his draft year, there was a period of time in the 2018-19 season where Alex Turcotte was not really considered one of the top-end talents because he just hadn't been playing at that time frame. I believe he started out the year not playing, and as a result, his draft stock kind of went lower and lower as guys around him, especially on his own team, the NTDP U18 team, like Caufield and Zegras and Bouldie and all them, increased their stock. When Turcotte returned in the 2019 season, though, that's when he started to really put himself on the map. The tournaments were great for him, he had himself some really good league play, and all of a sudden Alex Turcotte was in a spot where he went 5th overall to the LA Kings at the 2019 draft. Ever since then, though, he had been kind of battling injuries again. With Wisconsin, he still had some of those issues where even though he didn't play all the games, he was still 3rd on the team in points behind Cole Caufield and Wyatt Kalynuk. He was a very good presence on that University of Wisconsin team in 2019-20, proving to everybody why this guy went 5th overall. A strong two-way center with a great motor and some amazing puck skills, who was going out there with Cole Caufield and Roman Ashan and Keandre Miller and Holloway sometimes, just doing his thing. 26 points in 29 games played, under a point per game rookie as a freshman, 18 years old. At the NCAA level, you can't really get any better than that. I mean, you kinda could. Cole Caufield did better, but that's besides the point. Turcotte this season started off his 2020-2021 campaign with a very good World Junior showcase. 8 points in 7 games, wearing the A on his sweater for that gold medal-winning American squad. And now you're in a position where, after battling some injuries again, Turcotte's got 18 points in 30 AHL games played this season with the Ontario Reign, and 6 of those points came in his last 3 games played. Obviously, the hat-trick last night against the Eagles was great to see. The final goal especially was a really beautiful passing play from Cale Clegg and Martin Ferk. And seeing the collaboration on that passing play, the breakout into the zone and the cross-crease, very nice plays over there from the Ontario Reign. Even though they still lost, it was still pretty cool to see. But I really wanted to stress just how Alex Turcotte has taken his overall recovery and how he's come back in stride. As we noted, 6 points in his previous 3 games played. His previous 2 games had him at 2 and 1 assist, respectively. Now he's in a position where you can kind of feel just the overall drive coming out here, because Alex Turcotte hasn't been one of these guys on the Reign yet who has gotten that call-up. You take a look at some of the guys on top of the Ontario Reign and the points. You have Kaliyev, you have Akil Thomas, Kupari, and Quinton Byfield. Arthur Kaliyev's already gotten himself 1 game played with the Kings. Kupari has gotten 4. Akil Thomas hasn't had any yet, but Quinton Byfield has had a few too. You've got a lot of guys transferring between this Ontario Reign team and the LA Kings main squad, and Alex Turcotte so far has not been one of those players. Now, I'm not going to say that he deserves it right now. He's coming back from injuries, he's still trying to get his footing, he's been great lately, but he still needs to be solidified at this level, I would think, before you give him that chance at the NHL level. but I just love the way that he is responding, because 6 points in 3 games played with a hat trick last night certainly is the proper way to go about it when it comes to trying to force your hand at proving that you are successfully trending upwards. And I saw this comment on Reddit, I'll show it right here, talking about how yes, even though Turcott hasn't earned the call-up yet compared to the guys who have gotten called up, it's probably difficult after an injury watching your best friends, Caufield, Zegras, York, and Knight, all get called up. I know I'd be pissed. And maybe Alex Turcotte is never going to be the guy to go out there and say that he's ever pissed about it either, but it is something that I do think is more of a motivating factor in these conversations. The fact that, yes, Turcott was one of the main cogs on the U18 USNTDP team in 2019, and he's one of the last ones among the top guys to be called up into the NHL. Jack Hughes is obviously number 1 from that draft, and he has been in the NHL since then. Just going in order, next up, hey, Trevor Zegras, we spoke about this in the previous video. He is out here with 20 games played at the NHL level already, and he's got 13 points. Sure, he's spending a lot of time with the San Diego Gulls too, but he's gotten his fair chops at the National Hockey League level. Matt Bouldie, the next guy on the list, drafted 12th overall by the Wild, hasn't actually been played with the Minnesota Wild, he's been played with the Iowa Wild instead, and actually he's been doing pretty well, over a point per game there for Matt Bouldie, which I'm just seeing now, which is really, really good. Spencer Knight, oh my goodness, this is crazy, because Spencer Knight has 4 games played at the NHL, he's won them all, 2.32 goals against and a .919 save percentage as a 19-year-old in the NHL. Okay, 20. He turned 20 in April. But, like, wow. I just really cannot believe that Spencer Knight has been as good as he has been. But that stands with the point. He has been getting his chops, and he's been showing off that he can do well. As for the other guys, though, later in the draft, and by later, I mean, like, immediately after, Cam York, 2 games played with the Flyers, 0 points, but that's okay. He's still out here doing his thing. He was a point per game in the AHL, too, with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, so that's really good for a 19, 20-year-old defenseman in the AHL as well. And then, of course, we have Cole Caufield, who was out here with 3 goals in his first 8 games played. If you've been seeing this YouTube channel, you know the exact time and moment every Cole Caufield piece of news comes out, because we seem to make a video on all of them. And so when it comes to those top guys, yeah, it's just Bouldie and Turcott who have not broken through at the NHL level yet, and Bouldie is a point-per-game player in the AHL. Turcott, not so much. He's had a whole bunch of setbacks, though, this Alex Turcotte, and even though he has been probably one of the more highly touted guys amongst this group of players, you can't disregard the fact that he has been taken out in his draft year. He was taken out in his Wisconsin year, too. He's been taken out this year as well. The injuries have been piling up for Turcotte, and in a year that was especially tough for the majority of players involved, it's really crazy to see how he's coming out here really wanting to push the boundaries as to what he is capable of with 6 points in 3 games played. I'm looking forward to seeing what Caufield, Turcott, York, and Zegras and all these guys can do in the long-term future, but for Turcott specifically, I want to see what this guy does next year, either with the Ontario Reign or with the LA Kings. It's going to be tough to crack the Kings. We've said this in every video we've made about LA, but with that center core, man, Akil Thomas, Tyler Madden, Alex Turcotte, Gabe Vilardi, Quinton Byfield, it's going to be tough to break through. So for Turcotte, if he's not able to beat anybody out who is already on the LA Kings center system, then hey, maybe it's a winger position that he does instead. I'm not really too sure, but either or, I still think he does have himself a very good NHL future. It's just, compared to the other NTDP guys, man, it's really interesting to see the contrast there. Like, I mean, even Cam York and Bouldie are point-per-game players at the AHL level breaking into that league, so how long is it going to take for Alex Turcotte to follow suit? Maybe a year? Not sure. Either or, though, talk to me in the comments what you think about Alex Turcotte and his entire performance so far, the hat-trick yesterday against the Colorado Eagles, and the recent point production, the fact that he is technically the lowest producing guy amongst the top NTDP guys from 2019 in the AHL this season, and he's one of 2 to have not been called up at the NHL level yet. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was a mistake to leave him in the AHL. I certainly do think he needs the development time. But just let me know your thoughts about how everything has come about with all the other guys getting playing time, doing well, and all that. Talk to me in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. Troll 99, and bye.